Much of the reason why it's so interesting is because all of the ferment on the policy side of and how all these different policies interact, stack up, and the net result is in the short run, we just caused the policy incentives have caused just this massive boom in renewable diesel production, and then all of the knock-on effects that that has had.
Now, one of those policy things just got some headlines in Washington called GREET, Greet. What is GREET?
So we have a biodiesel blenders tax credit. Okay, we have that. We had it for a long, long time. Dollar gallon credit for blending biodiesel and renewable diesel into our fuel supply. That is getting converted in 2025 to a much broader permanent blending credit, but the credits are going to be awarded based on carbon intensity scoring. And so this involves what I call the Alice in Wonderland world of carbon counting, which is truly a trip into the rabbit hole. I'm editorially adding and trying to understand these carbon scoring. So there are these huge models that are out there, Stu, that do the carbon counting. They're really accounting programs, and the scoring for the new carbon intensity based blending tax credit, there are proposals to do it with either one called the GREET model, which is developed and maintained by the Argonne National Labs up in Chicago, and then another one called CORSIA, which is out of Europe, and Europe uses it for similar purposes. Well, the GREET model is much friendlier to the scoring for corn ethanol than the CORSIA model, because corn ethanol will now become eligible. All biofuels are going to be eligible for this blending credit, not just biodiesel and renewable diesel. And so obviously the corn ethanol industry has lobbied fiercely to use the GREET model instead of the CORSIA model to give corn its carbon intensity score when we go to this new tax credit system in 2025. That's what it's all about.
And the decision came out of the Department of Treasury and out of the White House.
Correct. There was a lot of political lobbying on this. I thought that the die was cast personally a long time ago, because in political terms, selling the idea that we're going to score U.S. produced biofuels using a European model when we already have a big one that, by the way, is paid for and funded virtually entirely by the U.S. government. Well, why wouldn't you just use that model anyway? That basic logical. But I thought the die was cast when I think it was a few months ago, the airlines all came together with the biofuels industry and said they supported GREET. And so I thought at that point, when you have that kind of coalition behind it, so you'd ask, well, who cares? Why would anybody care? And who would expend political capital supporting the CORSIA model? Well, this all gets back to the environmental lobby really dislikes corn and corn production. And they believe it is a blight on the environment. And I recognize there are environmental issues with modern corn production, but the forces that have been behind the CORSIA model, they really want to eliminate modern corn production from the face of the earth. It is true. I'm not saying I advocate that, or I'm not trying to make any political statement. That is their goal, and that's where the energy on the CORSIA model came from. just one front in this long-running war against what they call industrial corn production.